Okay, let's talk about suggestions. Um, what I think generally is, even myself, I've tried in my early 20s, I was trying to look into subliminal suggestions for self help, all these self help gurus out there. And I can guarantee a lot of the self help gurus don't even practice what they're preaching, which is typical. Don't do as I do, do as I tell you, which again is typical of people letting their expertise go to the head. And once it's gone to the head, they just admire the views of their successes for so long they forget where they came from and got them into a productive position in the first place, and then they start falling apart. Egotism always does that. What is egotism? Egotism is based in fear. It's always worried about tomorrow, and is always worried about the past of what they did. And yet these egotistic levels of, hey, look at me, I'm great, is the coping mechanism for that. Shame is not a, it's nothing broken. It's a, I do a separate video on that because, egocentric individual might be ashamed of something that they did in the past. And they double down on the egotism in the present. It's a coping thing. And don't get me wrong, everybody is a little bit egotistic. Um, Egocentricities here and there. But it's all on a spectrum, right? It's all on a range of I would say how bad. I would use the word how bad is it. Although, past a certain point, it becomes that category bad because it trips the individual up and it annoys everybody else. It's like, oh, it's always about that person. Oh, your overinflated ego is fragile. And people talk about fragile ego and all this. Yeah, and it is so much of that over the internet, isn't there? And again, that's because in real life, person to person contact, person actually present with you in the moment, not through this digital format, is the baseline of the most natural interaction that we have. But people move away from that when they're doubling down on the egotism, and because it's so easy to challenge a person in person, and it's so easy to pretend to be somebody you're not through the internet and through other means, through other channels, because it's that level of removement and you don't expose so much of yourself. And then a narcissist can be seen as a extreme egotism, I guess. But looking at human behavior, I think I would go as far to say there's about 10 different types or ranges of narcissism. And people use it a lot. I've used it a lot. I've bandied it around a lot. I do find people band it around when they don't really fully understand it, especially groups that are very egotistic themselves, like the Trump administration. Extreme egotism on steroids here with Donald Trump. Um, it's always about them. It has to be about them. The world is for them. The delusion is like everything's for them. Um, Everything's about them. And when they're excluded, they get jealous, or when somebody else is doing clearly better than them without pretending, without trying to fake things through, they hate that with a passion, because how dare somebody actually have genuine friends when they gotta pretend, but they're never gonna actually tell you that. And they get upset about, oh, everybody leaves me. I've heard that a number of times from people online, as well as uh, a couple of people I think of in person, and crying, oh, I just want my friends back. That line is typical of, you can translate that as, oh, I want my tools back to use. and all this coping mechanism. You see it in so-called self-help gurus here and there as well, snake oil salesmen, and they talk about suggestions, subliminal suggestions, and try to get people to keep repeating. I don't know, an example, perhaps. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Well, what? Better what? Doesn't address anything. That's a problem in itself. It's not direct. It's not addressing the actual problem and what's driving you. You know, it's and being told to visualize. Always visualize. Well, not everyone has like a mind's eye in there. That's an interesting thing. Social experiments and techniques, suggestion of different techniques have been put forward to some people, according to what I've read, because it's hard to find because no mind's eye is relatively rare. And they done different thought experiments and had those individuals realize, oh, they can visualize the image in their head. But again, with the whole visualization thing is see yourself as already achieved. That's again a problem with egotism and narcissism, pretending that you're already there without doing the work to get there. So how do it's focusing on, oh, I want to be this thing, and it's focusing on convincing oneself that you are this thing without telling you how to get there, without telling you what you need to do. Perhaps you want to be better in your social discourse with people in person. You want to be more sociable. You want to be liked more. You want to be understood better. Well, you look up different social techniques and what is done and why. But more importantly, you understand why they work. And things in body language work, like Vanessa Van Edwards, who's a individual that grew up in her approach was very socially awkward, and she got around that and said, I want to be better, instead of getting trapped into this self-help guru arena, like do this and do that. She may have been, I thought a number of times, perhaps need to look that up, because people like that are easy targets when they get desperate. But what she ended up doing was really looking at what is different about these other people that seem to be socially better than her. It doesn't mean that they're good at everything, but they seem to be communications coming and going quite much more flowing and efficient than she was able to. So you looked at a number of things rather than reading other people's body language, which I've done many videos on Jack's Analysis YouTube channel. I've done it there as well. Certainly Jack's Analysis YouTube channel is a bit of a dumping ground. Some of those things can be more crystallized though for this YouTube channel. Exploratory Minds should have come back about 18 months ago, but I've been extremely busy with other projects. One of them is swapping rooms, and this room still isn't quite finished yet, but we'll get there. There's some electrical stuff to do as well as beading. Anyway, back on track. Vanessa Van Edwards looked up the body language cues to not read other people's body language, but the body language cues to do herself to get other people to kind of open up and feel comfortable with her in communication. And then she found like this, started understanding why it worked and understanding it was her own sort of anxiety also that was driving, at least I think if I was speaking to her, was it the anxiety and so on, and social awkwardness was probably a nasty feedback loop, whereas it was driving her social awkwardness as well, shyness, because it was a feedback loop, the reminding of, I'm not very good at this, what do I do? And that's the thing. Within context, when we focus or associate the context with certain things, That's your subliminal suggestions going on. But when we focus on this repetition all the time, every day in every other way, I've been getting better and better as a person. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything, really. Better at what? As a person doing what? How? But what it is also doing is reminding a person that they feel stuck and want to improve, but it's not telling you how. So it's reinforcing. So it's more like a trap as a subliminal suggestion to fail. Now, subliminal suggestions need to be more subtle. People try too hard with the same thing that got them in. This is a perfect example. They're trying too hard with the same thing that got them kind of feeling stuck and problematic in they got a problem to start with. It's simple things that you can do, I find, is simple reminders that peek up here and there. Some people get annoyed with the odd person that comes by and you hear a beep beep come out from them. Every hour on the hour, they set their watch to beep or they set their mobile phone to beep. Every hour on the hour, what are they doing? Why are you beeping again? They've set up, highly likely, some kind of mental thing to do to remind themselves what they need to work on and try to aim for the goal during that alert. So, hey, what about so-and-so? This works because it's not occupying the forefront of your mind all the time, collapsing it down to so much of a problem. You're exhausted, keep mentally repeating. Some people have been doing this. It equals failure because all your mental energy is focusing on something that isn't clear in the suggestion. But you beep beep saying, hey, what about it? You got time to think about it and time to focus and time to maybe even if you're at work on your break and you got Wi-Fi access perhaps to the internet, or you take a book with you, something to read up about how to improve, how this works, what to do, how is like crucial. You need to find out how, rather than visualize and everything. Sure, visualization is powerful in things. If you're an individual that I can, but not everybody can, with there's different ranges of visualization. I can see myself physically doing things to a certain degree, and knowing how that would likely go related to what I already know about how it would go in reality. Because of the things I've done before, but I'm thinking, how can I make this more efficient this time? Well, things like, I know how to make it more efficient this time, packing my bags for a trip away, because of certain things I was sort of overly impulsive last time, packing too much clothing. There is a washing machine where I'm staying. I don't need to pack a load of clothes. I get one set of clothes for bad weather, one set of clothes for good weather. And so I know I was visualizing myself packing things that way. I know I'm going to do it anyway because that's what I'm going to do because of that past thing. But these self-help groups also tell you, like, visualize already achieving something when you don't know how. And visualize another person being so confident with people and so on. And what is it about that person's body language? And it doesn't work because if you're feeling in the moment not confident or good enough for a situation, it is going to show in your body language. You're not going to be able to replicate like a band-aid over the top of what is going wrong inside. You need to address things at their core. You need to understand why are you feeling anxious. Maybe something happened in your past that caused you to be anxious in very crowded places or semi-crowded places. One thing to do there from experience is chip away at yourself, and you'll discover you already know how to cope with relatively less crowded space. When it gets a tiny bit more crowded, think back and how you felt prior to that getting a little bit more crowded. Associate that with that. Associate slightly more crowded with the feeling that you had, oh, it's fine. And embed yourself into the moment, because the moment is all we have. All we got is now. Right? Although that's a separate video, I want to talk about the power of now. Not the book that was written by Eckhart Tolle, whatever his name is. I don't like his take on things. But there is a power of now. This is all we have now, this moment, despite thinking about the future and thinking about the past. But in the now, you can think about how you felt prior to things getting a tiny bit more tense, and think in the moment you're okay now. There's no reason why you're not going to be okay in the next moment. It's only your anxiety of thinking how the potential of how bad it could be. Realizing, working from the inside out, not other people's ideas of outside in who claim to be self-help gurus telling you, oh, you need to visualize being successful, while telling you not telling you a damn thing about how you get there. And a lot of how you get there is how you feel about your situation, because how things appear a lot of the time, it's not always easy, but things can appear detrimental and we don't know how to look at it in different ways. But very often how things appear is all about perspective, right? And there's things that have happened in my life you could say, oh, that's bad, but I wouldn't change it either. Certainly I've been really low. Sometimes the last couple of years. So the death of my auntie as well, that really is quite a blow. But how things appear out of that is, I could choose to be upset about it, but also could choose the lovely memories I've got in the moment. And I could, whenever I feel like, oh, I miss that person, I now let it be my cue to bring up the lovely memories we had, and it makes me feel better. At least that works for me. And I'm sure a lot of people do that, of lost ones. There's a lot here to let things be reminders rather than super intense focus, because nobody can do that. Nobody's got time to keep repeating and keep visualizing and doing all this. It's extra mental effort while hammering down a feedback loop of telling you you're not good enough, but you are good enough. You're just going about things the wrong way and overly trusting that they've made their money, they've done their things, they sold their books, they go on stage and telling you what they think you need to do, but then probably not doing it themselves. Self-help gurus tend to be preachers and not practicers. Practice. People boasting. Oh, this is so great. Should be your red flag. I've said it time and time and time again, and time again. It seems to be proven Uh, but if something's boasting and it's appealing to your emotional response, but not your intellect, not your critical thinking, not your analysis, then that should be a red flag. If something's boasting it's so great, there's it's probably because it's not every time, more or less every time. You know, maybe there's some exceptions, but it's something I've talked about that many times in people's profiles. Truth seeker, true ball on wax. I can remember something like that. We stick to the facts, not fuckery, and every one of them are complete. You know, these people every single time they're complete failures. They're dysfunctional, broken, because those titles are their egotistic coping mechanism, worried about the past or what they did, and worried about the future. How will people see them? And then as coping mechanism, they pretend in order to feel comfortable that they're wearing a comfortable blanket, in order to convince themselves they're just fine. So there's a typical Exploratory Minds video ready that how I wanted to do a number of things with this, and yeah, that's how it's going. And certainly, the I said this last year after I come back from my favourite part of the country. They're going to double down on getting work done for Exploratory Minds. Now I'm saying it again. What got in the way last year was, and it wasn't in the way of my progress. It's all progress because I swapped rooms, and it was a way of progress of the project, but not me as an individual, which is fine. Is how things look, how things are. It's all about perspective, right? And some people are too invested, too egotistically invested in avatars and online personas, might get kind of even so invested that they see it as, oh, they're butthurt and upset over that, and start blaming other people. Oh, nobody gave me a chance. All this high level narcissism, high level egotism. That's not going to fix anything, and all it does is reinforce the suggestion that these people don't even know, don't even realize consciously that they're suggesting to themselves that they are a failure, and everyone's going to see them as a failure and expose them as a failure, particularly when they're vitriolic about it and stamping their feet and blaming everybody else for their failures. Instead of going, I'm not sure how to do this, I'm not good at this, can somebody help me? And helping people help each other. Help me help you, so that once you're helped enough, you've got enough time and energy to help me back, and so that I've got enough time and energy back to help you back. Help me help you. Infinitely. This is an infinite feedback loop. Help me help you, help you, help me help you. And that's something that doesn't begin to process when people become highly narcissistic. A narcissist will always, 100% guaranteed, destroy themselves. But during their destruction, they always blame other people. They drag these other people down with them as much as they can, holding on to them because they're holding on to the tools that they want to use, not friends. And if these tools break, oh, it's your fault. Instead of them realizing, oh, I used you, I'm sorry I did this to you, sorry this has been bad to you. Instead they cry about, oh, I want my friends back. They're not friends, they're tools. So suggestions, let it be subtle. Let it be thought about as, how are you going to do this? Rather than every day and everywhere I'm getting better and better. Doesn't tell you how, and it doesn't tell you who can help you get there. doesn't tell you what to do in order to improve. So take a notebook, carry a notebook with you as well, and at the same time every day, make sure that you write some thoughts into that notebook about whatever it is you're trying to improve. And then if what you've written down doesn't tell you enough about how you're going to do this, but it tells you how you feel and all this, go and focus. Let it be your focus of trying to complete that picture instead of it being only emotional. You need critical thinking, analysis. You need to be told how and who can help you, what to do, who, what, and why are certain things better than others. When is the ideal time of day to do it? For dieting? If you're a typical person you don't work night shifts, you typically like maybe a 9 to 5 job, your dieting would be for eating healthy. We can all understand healthy food versus unhealthy, and it's not how much it is per se, it's what it is that really affects your health. But past a certain time of day, eating before you getting closer to you settling down at night and going to bed. Well, if you want to cut down on body fat, you don't mitigate that. That's how. And what are you eating? That's the what. And the why would be the biology and the metabolism, why this works better versus other ways. People on night shifts probably eat different times a day, right? People who live a life of working night shifts, I couldn't do that because I don't know. It really screws me up. My daytime cycle is I need the natural sunlight, and you're a rare exception if you've adjusted and can cope with night shifts, unless it's part of the world where it's relatively light all night. But whatever. There's all kinds of exceptions here and there, but who, what, why, when, and where isn't being put forward in these self-help gurus. It's just the suggestions like, I now perform perfect with this thing. How? What are you doing to achieve better? And the idea is the delusions of perfection, by the way, stifle creativity and stifle the ability to have thought process of more flexibility on how to change the way you're doing things. They cause a double down. This is why there is so much out there for sale on self-help gurus, because they're all saying, oh, this doesn't work, do this instead. But they're all actually doing the same thing with teaching you how to double down on the nasty feedback loop that you're not good enough, because it doesn't tell you how or who you can find to help you or what you should be doing in the moment. All right. So suggestions, subliminal suggestions, they work in advertising primarily because you don't even necessarily know you're being suggested to at all. And hidden words here and there, sure, to some degree, it has people thinking about a said subject because it's been suggested to them without bypass. It's kind of bypassing their conscious alertness, focus. But that should be a clue because that's subtle. It's not obvious, and people self-help gurus are telling people to be not to be subtle and super focus, but they're telling you to super focus on what you feel you have a problem about, and telling yourself that you're never going to get there, because there's always this idea put forward of you will be, not I am, and here's how I'm going to do it, and this is why this works, and this is how this works. But it's you will be. But tomorrow never comes. Yesterday, tomorrow was today. Think about that statement. Tomorrow never comes, right? So when you push this idea of achievement forever in the future, you're never going to reach it because you're forever in the present. But there's a separate video I want to make about the theories of the future influences the past a little bit. You know, we're talking about it. And the present influences the future as well. Anyway, if you want to check out these awesome YouTube channels below, please do. I need to change that a little bit, and yeah, just something to tantalize your mind with. If you are looking, if you find yourself typical as well, it's another problem with self-help groups. They love the new year. They love January before I go. It is now May. It's May the 1st today. But I guarantee a lot of YouTubers, a lot of people are using any random person who's just watching this video. I guarantee some people among those who are coming along and watch this video have been in a trap of starting something brand new every January and then failing and falling apart. Why? Because you waited for it in the future. Why? Because you didn't want it bad enough to start with, or you weren't told how. You just told, oh, if you visualize this, it's a new you in the new year. It's a new, fresh start. It doesn't tell you a damn thing. It's very emotional. But it tells you nothing about how you're going to do it. And it doesn't tell you necessarily why you're doing it. Do you know why you're doing it? Powerful thing would be write down, why do I need to do this? Why do I feel this way? And write your thoughts down. It is very powerful, writing your thoughts down for multiple psychological reasons. And it's a feedback of knowing yourself. And that will give you better feedback than any self-help guru. A notebook that I keep with me on the desk. Actually, it's in my rucksack. I write some notes in there I refer to at the about end of the day, usually about 7 o'clock. What did I write down today? I wrote random notes, and noting like, is there any time where I was a bit pretentious today, or just too much copium? Perhaps everybody does. Sometimes and egotistically, a lot of people are going, no, I'm completely honest. Nobody's completely honest. Is there any time where I was anxious when there was no need to be, and then thinking why? It's important. I understand. You ask why. And knowing yourself, checking yourself is crucial for trying to heal wounds, then the wounds that we can't see. Don't get me wrong, I've been up and I've been here okay, and I've been rock bottom here and there. But without the time and energy to have self-analysis, things will fall apart. And the time and energy to have self-analysis is taken away from you by these suggestions of how these self-help groups want you to do these things. Keep visualizing this, keep doing this, keep doing that. And it tells you, again, nothing about how you're going to get there. It tells you, it's like praying. Praying something to be, wishing something to be true. but tell you nothing about how you're going to manifest it and make it true. Doing gets results. Wishing, visualizing, praying, repeating something is when you've done nothing to get there to make it. So is wasted energy, time, and space, and physical space, really, in some cases. So think about that is people, oh, in the new year I'm going to be blah, 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 blah. Let things be your cues. And we get dragged away from ourselves a lot in today's busy world. So a digital watch, I haven't done it, but I might actually do it. This has settings on it. I can make it beep on the hour every hour. So that's your time in a moment to think, yeah, think things through. And again, rewind this video where I said how you're going to do that is if you're on break time, it's your break time to think things through about what your goals are. It's your time, break time at work or any time where you got your time. Things fall apart when people are dragged away from themselves so much all the time. They're busy at work. They come home. Somebody, maybe a friend in trouble or a family member needing help, and you need time for you. Otherwise, you're just running on autopilot and there's no time for you, and problems build and build and build, and you end up breaking in certain moments and screaming out in desperation, help. I've been through that as well. And just underlines for me how important it is for people to have their own space for them, by them, but taught how to analyze themselves, to look within, rather than being dragged into these self-help gurus and snake oil salesmen's ideas that only pull the emotional strings, because you're already in an emotional state anyway, which is going to make you easier to control by emotional response anyway. And the thing with human nature is we are emotional first before we're critical thinking. And guarantee when people hear that, there's always going to be somebody saying, no, I'm very logical. You might be very logical, but you are emotional first. You can't have only one without the other, though. It's just, truthfully, the emotional thinking should spur on a need, a necessity for critical thinking and logic. But if you have prefrontal cortex damage, you're not going to be very good at that anyway. You're going to be emotional without too much successful effort in your critical thinking skills. We've seen that. I'm sure everyone knows somebody who's definitely appears to lost their critical thinking skills. Dementia, when it causes this issue, blows to the head, the front of the head is another. You got a blow to the head and you start to, maybe you got a bit of concussion or that, you should see a doctor right away, especially if it's the forefront of your mind and people are reporting you don't seem to be very good with your critical thinking anymore. It's all very emotional and very vitriolic. If you're getting too aggressive or what, immediately you should be seeing a doctor. As prefrontal damage in most cases can fix itself, and in most cases with help, with right medication and other means to help, a lot of damage can be mitigated. But past a certain point, certain types of damage and if you don't get help, you're going to be screwed permanently. And I think we may there's some theories about a certain individual who was always excessively stubborn. Anyway, yeah, we think that there may have been some damage there. They gone utterly crazy. They are actually, I would not qualified to certify insanity, but as a layman and how people talk, yeah, you would say that guy's insane. A lot of it going around. We are a very absurd species in so many ways. I think we're primates. We're really, really crazy primates. Again, think about that. What do you think about the self-help gurus out there? There's some ridiculous stuff out there that you know it's ridiculous right away. Again, if you've got any critical thinking skills left. But also this stuff that it can really drag you in, especially naive, emotional people who drag you in and think, oh, I'm going to try this. Is it going to be... And it gets, like, before I go, I'll give you an example. Like, you've made it. You've got your millions. You're a CEO of a huge company, and you work in an office. You your hours suit you perfectly. You're dating your secretary. Yeah, beautiful. She's beautiful, and you have nice fitting clothes. Some of these self help gurus out there claim, oh, just visualize things like that. How do you get there though? First of all, you need to be good at business. How do you get good at business? And secondly, you need to be somebody who's can attract your ideal. And nobody attracts the perfect mate, do they? So there's that. And it's fantasy. It's escapism. Sure, it does make you feel great in a moment. This is why I do enjoy a bit of escapism here and there. It's like you enjoy your favorite music. You watch a film or whatever. Some films are so absurd you have to, especially fictional films, rather, that you have to suspend some disbelief in order to enjoy the escapism, and then come back to reality and get on with things and buckle down. It is hard work. It's always going to be hard work. But the reward is if you don't personally put the work in and then you get better results afterwards, you know you've actually done. You don't need some the power of suggestion thing going because it's banding around too much and it's not understood. Um, and it's you know there is power to suggestion if it's done properly and it's telling you how and so on and uh, subliminal suggestions probably more powerful. They appeal. Uh, of course, there's more power in them if they're appealing to emotion, rather than actually telling you how to get on with something and what you do to get there and who can help you get there. Yeah, who, what, why, when, and where. I've said it so many times. I think a video like this will get people to understand why I just keep repeating who, what, why, when, and where, and why it's so damn important. Especially in today's world where people are so easy to fall. A whole country was easy to fall into being naive enough to vote in Trump the second time around, Donald Trump and the Republican Party. Yeah, because people were driven on the power of suggestions in emotion. Not how are we going to do this? Who's going to get involved? What's the budget? How is this possible? You make America great again. Well, how? Everything Trump ever said was only based in emotion. during his rallies coming up to his election. Yeah, it's all a game. And a narcissist like Trump, and a narcissist anywhere, anytime, anywhere, always see everything via the lens of competition. Even when there's no competition being put down, it's just things that are, just because it's by default better or showing the individual not to be as good as, then it's not fair. It's like, oh, we need to do something about that. But when they try, they expose themselves as a childish idiot. There's a lot of childlike tantrumness to narcissism, put it that way. Thank you. Peace out. Take care. And I look forward to doing another video. This has been Exploratory Minds. Exploratory Minds Project, talking about the problem with suggestions and the marketing, the self-help gurus out there. Visualize and repeat and so on. No, you need to be doing it in a way in which you understand what you're focusing on, rather than praying and wishing you weren't you, fantasizing that it's somebody else. Yeah, reminds me of a YouTuber that's, I haven't said that, Aaron Costello, otherwise known as EKC People Suck. They have broken themselves via this ridiculousness. Cheers. Bye.